It's Dreadlock wash day and partial refresh day, and I'm going to show you how I refresh my dreads. Okay, so I've taken and combed out the hair that is here, and now I'm going to go ahead and part it again towards my mirror because it's so much easier to see. Part it again, and then I'm going to simply take my dreadlock here, and I am going to lay the braided part against my scalp. Our short dreads have these little braids right here, and I'm actually going to put it in this clip so it's held right in place for me. So the braided part is by my scalp. It actually has a little bend in it for me wearing it, and I'm going to take these and crisscross like that. Then we're going to pull this dread over and it becomes a part of my braid. Okay, so now it's 3 pieces and you begin braiding just like you would with a 3-strand braid that you did in your hair as a little girl. I like to keep my braid high and tight, which means I'm pulling tight this way across, not that I'm making it go really tight against my scalp because that can cause tension bumps and we don't want that. So we're going onto the braid a little bit, but then we're going to go down onto the actual dread itself. That dreaded part really holds the hair in place so it doesn't slide around as much. We had people ask in the past, why don't we do like a full braid instead of the dreaded section? And that dreaded section really grips onto your hair to kind of keep them from sliding. And so that's why we have this dreaded section there as well, and just this combination. So I'm just gonna braid it down onto here, and then I'll put my rubber band on. Okay, so I'm almost done here, and I'm just remembering I forgot to actually open the package of rubber bands, so this will be fun. So now I'm at the end, and I have like little pieces left, and people always ask what you do with these pieces. So I take them and I chunk them together. You can see I have 1, 2 there, and then I just wrap them around like this on the end. I don't like to leave them out because I don't want those ends dreading to the dread. I want them to be wrapped fully around there. And sometimes they do escape a little bit over time, but the better you try to put them in, the better they'll stay. Okay, and then I put my rubber band on like this. I'm gonna get those ends all tucked in, and I will spread the rubber band. So like there's a piece there and a piece there, and like I make it travel because then it holds all those little baby pieces that are kind of coming out towards the end. Just like that. And now that one has been reinstalled, you can see it's a lot more fresh around there. I have left out some baby hairs because this is usually where I get tension bumps. Usually when I do a refresh or do a reinstall, I will get a little bit of tension bumps because it pulls a tiny, tiny bit. Like sometimes it's hard to just not catch those baby hairs in there, but this is how they go in. It will stick out a tiny, tiny bit at first, and then as it loosens up over the next couple days, it'll be good to go. But let's be real. You guys all know I always pull my hair halfway back anyway, so I'm not that worried about it. When refreshing your dreads, this is a good time to add more dreads in if you're like, hey, I want more fullness, I think I can handle more weight, things like that. And so I'm looking at this here, and since I have a zigzag part, these chunks here are a little bit thicker. And I know that my hair, like that this amount can actually handle 2 dreads just because I've had enough experience to know what my hair can handle. So I've got my bag of dreads here, I have the leftover ones from my last install, and I'm gonna go ahead and add in some extra dreads. I'm gonna put this peony one in right in the front. So I'm gonna take this section here, and I'm actually going to split it, which it was already split for like having the other dread installed, but I'm gonna split it a little bit off to the side of where it was at. That's one thing, is each time you do your installs, when you do a fresh install, I always recommend parting a little bit differently. That way you don't have your hair pulling in the same spot, because sometimes that pulling over time can just cause some like irritation, can pull on your hair a little bit too much and pull it out if you tend to braid a little bit too tight by accident. And so you wanna make sure that you switch out kind of where you part at on each install. So not necessarily with your refresh, but at least with your install. So I sectioned that off and put that piece off to the side. I'm gonna part this here. I'm gonna put that peony one right there. So when installing our short dreads that will be launching soon, get on our email list to get details on that. I like to put the braid part forward, okay? So I'm actually gonna lay the dreaded section so it's going backwards, and I'm gonna braid backwards onto that section. So I'm gonna crisscross here, and then I like to twist it like this, and then begin, if it'll stay. Hold on, we've got hair clips. Maybe. There we go, get that out of the way. And then I can kind of flip this down and begin braiding onto this piece here. Okay, so I'm gonna crisscross over and begin my braiding and not let that piece slip around. There we go. And I'll braid all the way down. I finished the whole front row. I ended up adding in 4 more in the front. So I took like 2 boxes and basically split them up into making smaller boxes in the front. Now I'm on the back row, and these ones have come really loose. These are the ones that you want to watch out for because there's lots of baby hairs and stuff that are back there. What you'll notice is that these are the ones that can tend to actually dread up a little bit. So you can get some dreading happening back here. So it's really good to refresh these about halfway through. to help with that. You also may notice that there's a little bit of fuzz that happens in them. Like if you look at this hair here, you can see that there is some fuzz, basically with all the oils and stuff. And when you're wearing like your shirts, sweaters, it's been chilly here, things like that, that's gonna rub and get fuzz and stuff stuck in there. And so helping to, like, getting those combed out really helps to make sure that they're not dreading up in the back. I'm done, and I made a last minute decision to do something different with what I was doing with my refresh. So I actually decided not to refresh this center row. To me, it's not crazy frizzy, and I like the way it's laying right now. Okay, since it's loosened up a little bit, they're not sticking up funny. They do, whenever you put new dreads in, they will kind of stick out a little bit, like just because the way they've been braided. So these will stick out for a couple days as I style them and move them around. Like these front row here, they will get used to it, right? Some of these are brand new because I put in, like I split some of my boxes and added more. But here's what I did do. Instead of redoing the dreads that go down the center row, so like the two sides basically, I decided to come over to this row here. So I have my two center rows. They're more triangles because it's a zigzag part. But then I have this row over here, and I took two of the boxes and actually split them into two more boxes. So two boxes that became four boxes because I wanted to make it a little bit more full here. I'm gonna possibly do a couple of refreshes. I've never done more than one refresh, full refresh at a time. So basically redoing one at a time and not completely taking them out. I've never done more than one at a time, but since I am due to have a baby in 3 weeks, I don't know what life is going to be like, right? And so refreshes are so much faster to get done. And so that is my plan, is to possibly do two more refreshes. And I wanted a little bit more fullness up there than what it had. And so I went through and did that and separated those boxes, made them into four so I could have a little bit more fresh of a look. So I am done now. I refreshed everything. There are some things that are laying a little bit funny, but again, after a couple days, they will lay down flat. I'm going to now just take a scrunchie and pull these back, and I don't know if you can tell that's more full, but it is definitely more full on top, which I love. Take a scrunchie, pull this guy back into a little half pony here, and that's it. We are done refreshing for the day.